Protect your slipcovers. Let's talk about it. What is up, everybody? I am Mason from the Mockbuster YouTube channel. Yes, we're going to be talking about protecting your slipcovers. Now, this may sound pretentious, this may sound a bit OCD, but at the end of the day, us physical media collectors like to cherish what we own. One, because it ends up costing a lot, and two, it's because we're collectors. At the end of the day, we want it to be in pristine condition, especially if you're like me and you collect 4K Blu-rays. If we want the image to look as good as possible, we also want the presentation to maintain its nice feature. The reason why we're in the same vein as people who collect sneakers, how they sometimes wrap the sneakers in plastic or they never wear it, is because they want it to look as good as it did the first day they bought it. You know, it keeps that same pristine quality. Same with people who collect action figures and they leave the action figures inside the box so that it stays nice and neat. So that's basically kind of the same category is when we're talking about keeping our slipcovers clean, our slipcovers neat and tidy, because if you notice in the shelf, you go in and out, you take it out, it can rub against things, it can make the slipcover you know, dent or scratch, and really don't want it. Now, I know a lot of people do it for their steel books, but I don't know, is there a lot of people who do it for their slipcovers? Because at least for me, I want to keep a slipcover very nice and neat, because at the end of the day, the artwork itself on it is absolutely beautiful, and it adds to the asking price for it. You know, there's a huge aftermarket for slipcovers. Not saying that I'm you know, protecting my slipcovers to one day resell it, but it's just nice to know, like how people put like their Yu-Gi-Oh cards or their Pokemon cards or their Magic the Gathering cards in those little sleeves. One, because it looks cooler, and two, because, you know, it also protects it. So that's basically what we're going to be talking about. I bought a bunch of these things called OPP, polypropylene bags, which are basically this kind of cellophane type-ish bag where you put the Blu-ray inside and you seal it up, and it's resealable because you can always take it out, watch the movie, put it back in. I remember trying to inquire about it online through different mass producing companies, and they're just like, why don't you just heat gun it with some plastic over? I'm like, no, because I want to be able to open it and you know, watch the movie. Also, heat gunning a Blu-ray can end up warping the plastic, and I don't really want that. So I bought a bunch. I think I bought 1,000 from Uline, only to find out that the size was too big, so I had to return that, and I basically resulted to eBay, because the first way I found out about these whole polypropylene bags was from buying a 4K Blu-ray from my buddy over at Cinema Inspired Alex. I bought this 4K Blu-ray Hannibal on 4K, and it came with this very nice OPP bag. It has a resealable latch on the back of it, and it was really nice. And I said, hey, where'd you get this from? And he said, from eBay. So I was like, okay. I searched on eBay. It's reasonably affordable. It's about you get 9 of them, or you get 40 of them for $9. But again, you know, when you have a collection as intensive as mine, even though I'm not the biggest collector, I've only been collecting for a little over a year, but you know, I go out every weekend, sometimes even multiple times a week to pick up 4Ks. It adds up, and you know, 40 times, I don't know, I think I have 1,000 Blu-rays. That ends up costing quite a bit of money. So I resulted to Amazon, and they had one, but it was a bit long. I'll show you. So here is the one I got from eBay. It is, I don't know if you can tell, but it's a very nice tight size where it fits snug. Here's what it looks like on one of the 4Ks. See how it's very snug, it's very tight, but it's still movable, it's still malleable to the point where you're able to, you know, put in and put out the 4Ks, but it still looks tight and uniform enough to where it looks brand new. And that's what I really love about the look of putting OPP bags on them, or poly bags as some people like to call it. But then you have this one, which is a more cheaper variety. You get a shit ton of them, I think 200 for $9. So instead of 40, you get 200, but the problem is they're really long. Like that, the top lid, it goes up quite a bit as compared to the so let me see if I can show you that. I don't know if I can convey that, but there's a lot of lip on the top as compared to this, because I think this is 6 inches by 9 inches, but when I measured it out, it comes like 10 and a half. this is like 6 inches by 7 inches, so it has less of a overlap. Because see, I have here one with the Amazon. Now it doesn't look that bad, but you can still see how the lip comes out quite a bit down to the middle. This is a better copy because I haven't opened it that much, but the more I'll open it, the more wrinkled it'll get and the more it'll worry me. But at this point, for $9 for 200 of them, the lesser kind of slipcovers, I still want it to look nice and to look pristine, but the less like the boutique stuff, I want to keep in those tighter ones. Like all of my Kino Lorbers are in those kind of poly bags that have the short lip, which is the more expensive ones, because I just like the way that looks. So yeah, let's open a bunch of Blu-rays and talk about some movies while we polybag some Blu-rays, some 4Ks. Starting with a newer release, we got here Hard Target on 4K Blu-ray. Gonna open this up and polybag it because even though it's not really needed, because I'm not gonna watch this right now, it's just the fact that look at that, the wrinkling on there. And I've noticed over time, if you keep this for long enough, it'll start bending inwards the corners and it won't look too good. So the sooner I do this, the sooner it'll be able to expand outwards and it'll look nicer within that bag, even though it's already being protected with this brand new plastic, this poly plastic that's been heat gunned onto it, because it's still factory new. And that's also why I love Kino Lorbers, because they what's it called, they seal the movies, they seal the slip covers afterwards, instead of like how sometimes you'll buy a movie and the sealing will be on just the plastic case and then you'll have the slip cover. So for the most part, if it's not out of print, you'll definitely be getting like a slip cover, which is really cool because I'm like a huge slip cover buff, mainly because they don't cost extra and it's easier to get than a steelbook. And sometimes I actually prefer sometimes the artwork over the steelbook. But see what I'm saying? When it's saran gunned, you can see how it's crunching inwards as opposed to that, you know, that normal factory sealed flopwards, because in the UK they actually kind of do this. I have here this UK release of the 7 Seal, this BFI 7 Seal 4K release, and they actually have the factory sealing over top of the actual slipcover. So I can remove this, take the 4K out, put it back in, and then put the sealing back on, which is, can we please start doing this in North America, please? Because one, that'll secure you, that'll normally have, like if it's within a newer release, it'll secure the fact that you will be getting a slip cover, because here in North America, slip covers are definitely worth more than their weight in gold, and so no one will steal them. And also it keeps it more protected, because I've stumbled upon like Walmart's and Best Buy's new releases where the employees will just shove it onto the rack and it'll all get damaged. Now again, this is nitpicking because at the end of the day, I can't mainly care for the 4K disc, but you know, come on guys, it's the collecting, it's a whole shebang. So that's why it irks me. It's not a deal breaker, but you know, I'd like to have, like food, you like to have a nice presentation, you taste with your eyes sometimes. If it looks like shit, obviously it's not going to be appetizing, and it's going to remark on your at the end of the day, your taste or your final review. If you find some stew that looks like shit, literal shit, but you taste it and it tastes nice, at the end of the day it still looked like shit. But so it's not a deal breaker, but you know, it's nice to have it. So could we please do these factory sealed cellophane wraps, because they're not heat gunned, but see how they're folded on the corners and stuff like that, please. Anyways, back to polybagging some movies. Here we got Hard Target. Here's the back, here's the spine. I haven't seen this movie yet, but I've heard decent things about it. I've heard the 4K is pretty good. Yeah, see, this has been heat gunned, and I don't know if you can tell, but look at those wrinkles, and my 4K came damaged, which is very great. Thank you, Cinema One. Oh, there's more plastic falling out. I'm gonna have to actually replace this this case. I'm okay. It's being covered by a slip cover, so it shouldn't be bad. No reversible artwork, which is a bit sad because it's literally the same artwork as the slip cover. And you know, the Kino Lorber is iconic for their lack of disc artwork, so that's okay. So that's a bit of a bummer. It kind of broke for some reason, I don't know. But yeah, so we're gonna put this back in the, it's a bit tight on a slip cover. Jeez, what the heck? It's got caught on something. Something's being caught. But like the slip covers on these Kino Lorbers are just super high quality. I want to learn, like, how do companies make these slip covers? Because I want to duplicate that so that I don't have to feel the need of FOMO. Like, do they make it like in a mass processing kind of thing, or like how does that work? Like, does a couple dudes take the weekend off and just start polybagging some movies brand new? But here we got the fresh poly bag. We're gonna try to loosen it up a bit by doing that. We're gonna take that and put it in. But hard target, John Woo. I've heard of John Woo. I haven't seen many of his films, but you know, I keep getting it mixed up with Ong Lee. It's not Ong Lee, it's John Woo. But you also have to be careful because these spines tend to separate really easily, so you gotta be careful because at the end of the day, it's still cheap plastic from China. So you got to be careful with that. So then what you do is you take this little tab here and rip it off, and that reveals the adhesive side. And then you just fold. I'm trying to show it because I don't want to cover myself. But you basically fold it inwards, close it up, or do a better job of it because I'm trying to show it on YouTube. You seal it up. And then boom. I highly recommend you guys do this if you're a huge slipcover guy, even if you just enjoy artwork, because one of my favorite slipcovers was this Nightcrawler slipcover. But what I was doing, I'm such a dumbass. I was removing a lot of the the residue. Like, you know how sometimes when you buy brand new Blu-rays and they'll have stickers on it. I did this Goo Gone. Little did I know that if you don't properly wipe off the Goo Gone with a bit of water or a bit of non-scented cleaning solution, it will get sticky and it will ruin it. So unfortunately this stuck on to another movie, another slipcover, and it damaged it. See that? Oh, this broke my heart because this is a really nice looking slipcover for one of my favorite movies, and it's just a shame. So hopefully Kino Lorber, someone does a 4K of this so I can buy a new copy and polybag it and put it on my shelf. Alright, next movie is Paul Newman's Nobody's Fool. This is a movie that I'm not expecting to love, but I've heard really good things about it. It's a Kino Lorber 4K. It's a newer release, and it's just, you know, I don't know what to expect from these. I've grown as a movie watcher after watching Good Will Hunting, so I don't mind dramas and stuff like that. I remember my most toxic cinema watching moment was when I was, what's it called? Right after marathoning a bunch of Avengers movies and a bunch of those MCU movies to watch Infinity War. And then, like, after watching that and then going to watch a movie like, I don't know, like Seventh Seal or Seven Samurai or something like that, and you're like, where's the big action scenes? Where's the CGI? So it really taints your brain when it comes to that. So, but again, these are super reusable. I have here one that I've used for something else, but I realized I was running out of these because I only had 80 of them. So I removed it, and they're reusable. You can use them for whatever other Blu-ray 4K sized slip that you have. Again, I haven't noticed that the adhesive doesn't work as well. So far it's working pretty well. It lasts quite a bit, and again, I know it's cheaper in the US. You guys can find it on Amazon for dirt cheap, and I've seen some of those listings on Amazon US, but when it comes to shipping to Canada, they don't, for some reason. Like, one of the biggest polybag companies or listings on Amazon don't ship to the Canada. I was gonna say the States, but the Canadas, I don't know. Next is another movie that I recently got. That is The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. Now, I don't really need to polybag this, but I kind of want to just do it for this video, just to talk about my love for Kino Lorber, because this is a fantastic slip. I love Kino Lorber slip covers. One, because they're really affordable. This was like $29. Well, this specific Blu-ray I got for a bit more, mainly because it sold out quickly. I was not expecting this Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, this dad movie at the end of the day, to sell like hotcakes. But you know, that I think dads are their main their main buyer, except for me. I'm a kid. I'm a 22-year-old chap. But here we got a brand new slip because I want this to look perfect. But again, see, when you add those the heat gun and it makes it too tight where it folds inwards, it's a little gripe, but I mean it doesn't, you know, it doesn't kill me. It's not like it's being like stripped apart or it's being teared apart by the plastic. It's just being a little bit creased, a little bit bent, which is fine by me as long as it doesn't ruin the image. I am fine with that. So there you go. The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. I haven't seen this movie. I saw the remake. The remake was okay. It's just your generic kind of action thriller kind of movie. It did the job. It's an enjoyable. It's a 5.5. It's a 5.5 out of 10. 2.5 stars out of 4. Yeah, Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. And then the last one I got here is The Usual Suspects. I bought this on Blu-ray a long time ago, and I was finally sat down to watch it because I've just heard so many fantastic things about this movie. It is a Bryan Singer movie, which, and also what's it called? Kevin Spacey is in it, which is it's a double whammy. But at the end of the day, I was gonna say I love me some Kevin Spacey, but that's probably not. I like his performances. He is a talented actor, but again, despicable human being. Anyways, we're not here to talk about that. But Unusual Suspects, I watched the first half of it. I loved it, and then I got a notification from Kino Lorber saying that they were gonna release it on 4K. So I immediately stopped the Blu-ray, sold it. And when this came out, I bought it day one because I just had to. I didn't buy it day one. I bought it the week of because the only way to get these 4Ks MSRP is if I go to downtown. Downtown's a shit show. So that is why I waited, not day one, but the week of. It's the same thing. It's like when you go to the movie theater. I never watch movies day of or midnight releases, those kind of things. Because one, I hate people. Well, I don't hate people, but I hate those kind of like MCU type crowds where they go, woo, yeah, woo, and then you're like missing out on dialogue. Some people get just dragged to the movies, so they kind of like, ugh, I don't want to be here. So what they end up doing is they either start laughing at unfunny parts, they go on their phone. Worst part, like I remember watching, what's it called? I remember watching The Northman, and that's a Robert Eggers type movie. And if you've seen Robert Eggers, his films, they're not funny per se, but they got their quirks. Okay, so when normies went to watch The Northman because they're expecting some action Viking movie, and they see like Ethan Hawke and his Ethan Hawke and his son farting and Willem Dafoe making weird noises. It's people start laughing and it kind of ruins the scene for me. Some guy brought his whole family, and when people are being decapitated and brutally murdered, I like their mom was groaning and moaning and tried to look at her phone. Hey, like shut up. Just watch the movie in silence. But yeah, that's a whole nother video of not YouTube goers, but movie goers that piss me off. So yeah, that was the little discussion topic of the video, is polybagging your Blu-rays, because I want to keep these safe, pristine, and in nice condition. Let me know down below, do you guys go as far as to buy plastic bags for your Blu-rays? I know plastic is a bit of a, you know, with everything like people using cardboard straws and stuff like that and reusable things. I feel like plastic has been shunned, but at the end of the day, plastic can protect my, not investment, but can protect the things I love. And I don't know what I was trying to say. It sounded like I was defending plastic, but I was just talking about that. Anyways, I also failed to mention that these plastic bags also fit steelbooks with the J cards pretty freaking well. So if you don't want to get those premium hard shell cases, these actually do work really well for these types of 4K steelbooks. And it's not super tight to where it's a pain in the ass to take out, because if it's tight on the slipcover, it's easy, you can just pull out the plastic case. But here you'd have to pull out the entire steelbook to open it, and thankfully it's not roomy to where there's extra like space here, but it's enough to where you can easily just like open it up and take it out without too much hassle. See, without too much hassle, as a hassle with it. but it comes out. It comes out. It's not the worst in the world. So yeah, I forgot to mention that. Steelbooks works great for them too. That was a little video of this. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Again, let me know down below. Am I crazy? Am I going out of my mind for putting plastic over my slipcovers so they don't get damaged? Anyways, yeah, so please have yourself a good day, night, evening, afternoon, morning, whenever you're watching this. Please stay safe and God bless. Peace, cheers, long physical media. Until the next time, have a good one.